How's everybody doing today? This one will take a little while. Let's get right into it. Repacked wax. Now, I've done the other sports. Ooh, that's loud. I've done the other sports of this. Baseball has been quite a while. I think I've had this one sitting for a bit. Just because baseball I don't do quite as often. Now, the good thing about these is they don't have the tape. They are the wax. Of course, the bad part is that leaves a waxy mess for me by the time we're done. But that's okay. We'll get over it, and we'll see what kind of surprises we get in here. Oh, man. Talk about bringing it back. All of it in 91 already. Bobby. Jim Whalewander. Tom O'Malley. Santiago. Harris. Slayton. Little new one. Pena. Ryan Sandberg. And Jim Rooker. So that one's kind of cool. I'll probably keep some of these ones as we go. But the vintage ones are always obviously my favorite. I don't know if we'd consider 84 quite there. Don Baylor. It's Correa. Bob Link. Fernandez, Gary Gentry. I don't expect them all to be in perfect condition either. Not of the vintage. I guess it's kind of hard to find those anyways. Palmeiro, Eric Davis. Can't figure out if that's just color or what's on these. Steele, Ken Hill, and Dennis Cook prospects. Pendleton and Len Dykstra. We know we're going to always get some vintage, which is cool. Here, Alan Wiggins. And I will always assume that I'll miss some cards. Oh, look at that. Ricky Henderson. Look at that. I don't think we need to sleeve all these up since a lot of them aren't in perfect condition anyways. Sale, Miller and the new Topps Chrome, Ruffin. A little vintage stack. Brent Gates, rookie. Joe Price, Drew Hall. And Justin Turner. Yeah, I don't even know what to expect with this. Of course, baseball I don't know as much about, so there's certain... we might find some cards. Ruben, Gerson, Pedro Guerrero. Yes, I can remember all those cards. Cal Ripken. Petrie, Tony Phillips. Wynn. Buddy Bradford. And a Nolan Jones. These aren't quite as waxy as the other sports ones that we've done, so I don't mind that. Dalbeck. Topps Chrome rookie. Greg Vaughn. Little SPX action in there. Robin Yount. Ooh. Hal Kolstad, rookie. '62 rookie. Steve Sachs. Almost dropping him. Gary Sutherland. I don't remember ever seeing the traded on these. Of course, back then it was probably a bigger deal. They probably didn't trade like they do now. Bip Roberts. Things have changed slightly over the years. Oh, we got double the sleeves on this one. Mark Hill. Throw that one up there. Pat Crowless. Milt May. Young Lenny Randall. Star Power. Yeah, I think the boxes of this year are still actually not too expensive. Sam Travis in the chrome. SP Authentic. Yeah, SP Authentic is always sharp. Tino Martinez. And Eric Chavez SPX. Definitely an array of different years and products in this one. Jason Giambi. Sweet shot. I've looked at boxes of those. Ken Griffey, Jack Clark, Tran, let's see, orders, Chili, Ronick, Fred Randall. I feel like there's a lot more vintage in this. More Ken Griffey of old than with the other ones, but I think obviously it's a little different between the sports. Gray Future Stars. George Bell. Stewart. Otis Nixon. Wood Sullivan. I mean, the center rate isn't too bad on a lot of these. Fernando Valenzuela. He always had the craziest pitching form. Jerry Moses. And Brian Jordan. That was a little more sticky. Dobson. Bruce Kim. Premier Prospects. Well, 99 checklist, of course, that's Cal, John Smiley, Matt Vierling, rookie, Ronald Acuna in the Topps Chrome, Pat Mahomes, one row in the books. Paul Rung, Milt May, Rodney McRae, Suna. Well, that's cool. Kid gloves. Man, I love the inserts from Ultra back then. Gray, we're gonna sleeve that one up. Buckner, Kyle Muller, Sample, Topps Chrome, Armstrong, Save Master, Jim Ebbett, and Leary. Well, we got one that we're going to sleeve up because inserts for Ultra, I don't know if they're as rare in baseball as they were as basketball, since basketball I tend to follow a little bit more, but still very cool insert. Jimmy Key. Massey rookie, Darryl Strawberry, Eric Show, Powell, Burkett, Foley, Thornton, Dusty Baker, Maldonado, Sims, Bowman first. Jeff. Evan Carter, the regular Topps rookie. Perkins, John Franco. Rios. Good old Paul Molitor. Bobby B. Greg Vaughn. Hello. Paul Miller rookie. Billy. Billy, Fernando. We'll throw Billy up here. Since, I mean, the corners weren't perfect on there, but still pretty cool. Because I got that box that we picked up at that auction. If you guys watched that auction video of me missing out on buying all 9 of the boxes. But again, I didn't know what case it came out of. Greg Jeffries. Myers, Steve. Jackson, Greg Dawson, Boyd. How cool would it have been if they had the actual writing on the bottom of the bats in here? That would have been a pretty crazy thing to include. Terry Foster, Outland, August Youngblood, Eric Anthony, with Greg Nettles. Roger Clemens, Jim Wynn. I was going to say, that's extra shiny. Miglio Ordonez. It's the first time I've had one of those for that year tops anyway. Gary Porter, Lance Johnson, Barfield, Pete and Repeat. That's pretty cool, actually. And Weaver. Well, let's keep it going. Griffin, Gene Nelson. Gary Sheffield. Anniversary preview. Earl George Brett Davidson. Long and Tucker Ashford. Robin Ventura. Dodd Mattingly. Couple vintage ones right in the front. Well, I guess more so that one. This one. Ooh. Cheap cheers. This is Heritage. Not quite vintage. Juan Augusto. Oh, another one of those, though. Jim Brewer. I did pick up a collection of not a bunch of huge names, but it was probably 500 vintage cards. So I actually have a pretty good box that I had picked up. So from, even though there was stuff from the mid 50s all the way to the mid 60s, so it's pretty cool. One of the most random finds. Justin Upton. See, Maldonado. Oh, there we go. Carl Stravinsky. Back when they had all of the stats on there. 5'11", 188. Crazy. 5'11", 188. Jeff King, Bob Deere, Braga, Joey Bell, Hada, and Don Hood to finish off that one. I mean, I guess we can throw that there. Steve Garvey, Dave Cohn. He looks familiar, huh? Pinello, Jack Clark, Bichette. All-Star rookie, Tony Curry. Again, these are just good-looking cards. Something about the vintage Julio Franco, Slocum, Castillo, Reddy, Awesome, and Vato. Of course, even me and my wife both kind of like antique type stuff anyways. Dwayne Murray, Brad Mills, Chris Bryant, opening day, Jackson, Dynamic Duo, Bench and Seaver, Jim Clancy, Randy Johnson, Wyatt Langford rookie, Harold Baines, Chuck Finley, Jim Morrison, Keith Hernandez, Barnes, Dennis Lamp, ×2. Tom Seaver. I mean, that's not quite as old as into the vintage era. Cody Bellinger, Don Hill. But that's okay. Perfect. Sasser. Oh, that's a great card. I did post my Twins Crew autograph on X if you guys saw that. I'm going to throw that one right there. Autographed with his hits, Ryan Sandberg, Pisano, Vaughn, Wolford, Hatcher, Schofield, Galarraga, Steve Rogers, said not a lot, but most of the baseball that I have collected has been kind of more vintage. Wolford, Hatcher, Russ Nixon, Ryan Healy, rookie, Joe Nolan, Steve. Just gonna throw these in this stack. Ski, Ray Durham, Dykstra, Gibson, Al Newman, a waxy Rice in the old Kellogg. It's a really old one, actually. It's gonna Dave Smith, Alvarez, Segura. I see the Ryan Mills in gold. Shrek and Paxton, Bell, Bo, Laughlin, Leach and Bobby, Thompson, rookie. Beltran, what year chrome is that? 2010. Those curve up so bad. Ooh, Carmen, Frank Wright, Stottlemyre, Sandy Alomar, Adamar, Paul O'Neill, Doyle Alexander, Freeman, Tommy Davis, Stanton. See that one curve, it's always harder to hang on to those. Flaherty, Russell, Brenly, Antipani, Hatcher, Youngblood, Werner, Bill Buckner. Why do I feel like I've seen that name today already? Garber and Mick. Oh man, I love the old Pirates hats. Love the old Pirates hats. Some more rookies. Anderson, Henderson, Turkey, and Glenn. We're going to throw that one up here. And kind of nice variety we'll display up there. Farr, Tiefenauer. Of course, I told the story about my uncle finding that year. I think that's why it always is one of those different ones for me. Topps Chrome, Matt Chapman. A refractor. Jim Edmonds. Taria. Kiewitz. Soto, Uribe, Cerrone. That doesn't look like his autograph. That doesn't look like Mini Minoso's autograph there. I could be wrong. Let's go trio. I guess 80. I think I've been throwing the 80s up here too. I'm trying to keep these organized. Davis, Remake, and Patterson, Crone. Yeah, Rick Peters. Rick Keaton, Reardon. Vida Blue. Justin Riley. Thomas, Mario, Jose Canseco, Pettis, and Pena. Rick Wise, George Wright. Bernhardt, Robbie Ray, kind of random in there too. Glenn Adams, Carlton Fisk, Danny Gladden, Wisdom, Seaver, Wilson. So looks like we got a few packs to go. Charlie Mitchell, Billy Smith, Larry Milbourne, Larry Parrish, Doug Flynn. I mean, I guess I've been throwing kind of half and half up here. Tino Martinez. We got a Ken Griffey Jr. Jackson Todd. Brookins. Mike Brown. Hauser. Russ Snyder. Keep mixing up where I'm stacking these ones, but so we'll kind of recap the different vintage ones as we're done. Besides for them, I think the Kid Gloves is my favorite newer one. I mean, I do like the Rod Carew as the older one, but that got that to the Billy Ripken a little bit older to all the vintage Doyle. Joe or Computer Black Diamond. Grieve top 10 prospect. Wells, Rel, Melvin, Kyle, Rio, Ed Herman, and John Reed. 2 packs to go. This is kind of a fun change of pace. Probably won't do too many more of these. I mean, I can look at the other sports again over time, but Jerry Martin, George Brett, Hayes, Walk, Bird. Well, isn't that kind of fun to hit towards the end of this? Isn't that a fun one to get towards the end of the packs? Let it take some time for them. Since I was a pitcher and a big fan of pitching altogether. Let's do this last pack. Ray Langford, Herrera, Mike Schmidt, Sid Marvell, Wynn, Daryl Johnson, throw that one, Carlton Fisk, Gonzalez, Thad, O'Malley. Well, for me, nothing crazy or groundbreaking. It's kind of cool, though, because you got kind of the newer age, cool kid gloves. You got the Bill Ripken. You got the Nolan Ryan, and then bringing it back to all of the vintage. Of course, we have the Ricky Henderson back here. Rod Carew, George Brett. Carl Tony. I mean, just fun overall. So I'll kind of just zip through all the vintage ones, or the mid to vintage. I mean, some of these weren't as much. Russ Snyder. I don't know whose signature that is yet. Yeah, some of these mid 80s I probably didn't need in here. Jim Brewer. I've always kind of liked that. I thought that was a unique card. There it is, just a lot more quantity. So overall, not too bad. Still a fun old rip. I mean, like I said, I like hanging on to older cards anyways. And then this one, Rice. All right, you guys have a good one. We'll be back to one of these things on the wall tomorrow. So you guys have a good. We'll see you then.